Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoilery discussion for The Atlas 6 by Olivie Blake. As I said, this video will have spoilers in it, so if you don't want any spoilers, you haven't read this book, go ahead and check out my spoiler-free review, which is linked on the screen. So, with this book, I recommend you watch my spoiler-free review if you haven't, just to go into all the details of why I felt very conflicted about this book. There were a number of things that I liked and didn't like about it. I really wish that the world was more fleshed out than it was. We didn't get much of anything. We got Dalton teaching a couple of classes, sort of. We got them each being like, oh, we're trying to get books from the library, but we don't really get a very good description. There's like one scene where it describes the library, but it's not like they're hanging out in the library. A lot of times they're just meeting with each other, hanging out in different rooms that are not academic rooms, and talking. And I like character interactions and character-driven stories, but for like a dark academia, I expect academia, and we're not really getting that. It also tried a few times to sort of comment on the like classism within academia and things like that, but it sort of just like left it there, which maybe it'll explore as the series goes on, I don't know. I really want to do this discussion video mostly about the characters because it seems like people have very conflicting opinions about the characters. Like I said, most of the characters come off as unlikable and pretentious at the very beginning. I think that's intentional. Mostly I do think that they're staying kind of unlikable as time goes on, but they're growing on me a little bit. I mean, all of them kind of are. The first two characters we're introduced to, Nico and Libby. Apparently Nico is considered like a book boyfriend by some people. I really don't know how, because we don't get to see that much of him. I thought we were going in this like enemies to lovers direction with them. Now we're getting this like, they're two parts of a whole and they're a pair and you have to have them together, because it seems like he's actually in love with his roommate. He's in love sort of with Gideon potentially. Maybe there's something there. I thought there was gonna be something with them. A little confused about all that. He's probably one of them that I feel the least things about because I barely feel like we saw a lot of him and he's just kind of like flippant. Libby does come off as annoying. Less annoying actually though than all the characters pointing out that she's annoying. Like all the characters saying how annoying she is way more annoying than she actually is. I don't know, they gave her this impression that she's like this mousy girl and I just really don't think that's what it is. I do like the hints about like, oh, if she discovers how powerful she is, like she can really like burn down the world. I kind of like that vibe. Reina's probably my favorite character. Is that because she's a naturalist and she like can, you know, fuel plants and stuff? Possibly. You know, I love a nature magic person. I just kind of like that she was like, I don't care. Whatever, and just like observes everything. Did she have a ton of substance to her? No, not necessarily, but I did find it interesting. Just like her vibes in general and the way that all the plants talk to her all the time. Parissa, I liked. I get some people are like, oh, she's so like a femme fatale, whatever, like I get it. And some of that was a little bit annoying, but ultimately, I like how like confident she was, how manipulative she was. The whole face-off between her and Callum, where she basically gets him to kill her to like show everyone like how he is. Nice. Nice. Dalton, I thought of him as a attachment to her, having his like inner mind locked away, and he seems like that guy's kind of like a little extreme. That'll be interesting, I think. But everyone sort of knowing that she's this like femme fatale character and still sort of falling for it. I mean, part of that is like, I guess it makes sense, but it's also like, okay, this is like a little bit predictable. Tristan, I also liked, one of my favorites, I would say, but also his magic and the way it works, well, the way that any of the magic works. None of it's explained, none of it, like, it's fine, it's sort of hand-wavy, but again, I expect a little bit more from an adult fantasy that is dark academia. Like, you sort of expect the magic to be a bit academic in nature, explained. Other dark academia books are sort of like that. You know, what are the costs here? You know, there is this whole thing of like, someone has to be sacrificed to uphold the library, whatever. But again, all of that is very like hand-wavy, vague, isn't really going into much detail. So his magic, I'm like, what? But I liked him. I'm also like, okay, does he like Libby? Does he not like Libby? What is going on with them? None of the character interactions and relationships make a ton of sense. I mean, the interactions do. I keep saying interactions. It's really the relationships. Like, who likes each other? Like, Libby sleeping with them doesn't quite make like a ton of sense, like the way that that like sort of happened. I get that she was breaking up with Ezra, but whatever, like all of that, just what? Also Tristan and Callum might also be in love. I don't know. It's all very vague. And then Callum, insufferable, like the obvious villain, whatever. I think he's gonna have more dimension as things go on, but he really is like a sociopath. At the end, I was kind of like a little bit more, he was growing on me because of how he sort of pointed things out to people, and like but I don't know, he's still a sociopath and like pretty unlikable. Then we have the reveal at the end with like Ezra and Atlas were friends. Ezra has been just traveling through time. He's the traveler. Now he's gonna team up with the other groups, which are like, again, very vaguely mentioned. Who are these, whatever, I guess we're gonna find out more later. He did have feelings for Libby. All of the stuff at the end is just kind of like, okay. Like there was a little bit of foreshadowing, but not really. Like, I just feel like so much of this, and I said this in my review, there are seeds of potential here, but I just don't feel like it was met, you know? And it's not an expectations thing. I didn't go into this book necessarily with expectations, but like there's stuff here that I could really like, but it's just not fully fleshed out enough. The world, the magic system, the characters, were given not a lot. Or just little pieces of too much almost. The stuff with Gideon, it's like there's all of these pieces and like not enough time spent with any of them. So even the reveals with Atlas at the end, I'm like, okay, like I will continue to read this series. I do think there's some interesting things there. I'm wondering how it's gonna evolve as it's being traditionally published. Like this was a thing that was put out in the world and then polished. When something is being worked on traditionally the whole time, like will the next 2 books be better? Potentially. A little more like guidance and structure there potentially. So yeah, I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting anything. I already sort of mentioned the writing and things being like very pretentious. I don't mind flowery or descriptive writing, but just like the way that it was like, it was self-aware, I think, but it was trying too hard almost to be pretentious, which was a little bit annoying too. So I sit very in the middle of this book. I didn't love it, I didn't hate it. There are things that I didn't like, but there are things that like I saw the potential in, whatever. I'm not gonna be like thinking about these characters between books, at least until like the second book, maybe if I start to have them grow on me more. But interesting enough to continue. I do think there's better dark academia books out there though. So comment below, let me know what you thought of the Atlas 6. Thank you all for watching and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.